Welcome to the Past Shutter channel, where we explore rare historical photos and the stories behind them. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. Benito Juarez, born 1806, 137 centimeters, 4 feet 6 inches, Mexico's first indigenous president and national hero who resisted French occupation with legendary determination. At barely 4 feet 6 inches, he was likely the shortest major world leader in modern history, yet stood tall against European imperialism and became symbol of Mexican sovereignty and reform. James Madison, born 1751, 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, 4th U.S. president and father of the Constitution, with brilliant political mind despite frail 100-pound frame. Shortest U.S. president at 5 feet 4 inches. Note, often listed as shortest, but Benito Juarez was shorter, suffered lifelong health issues but authored Federalist Papers and led America through War of 1812. Deng Xiaoping, born 1904, 152 centimeters, 5 feet 0 inches, Chinese leader who transformed China into economic superpower through capitalism with Chinese characteristics. At exactly 5 feet tall, he was so short that special podiums were built for speeches, yet his economic reforms lifted 800 million from poverty, proving it doesn't matter if a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice. Kim Jong-il, born 1941, 160 centimeters, 5 feet 3 inches, North Korean deer leader who wore platform shoes to appear taller and controlled cult of personality. Officially listed as 5 feet 3 inches but likely shorter with lifts, obsessed with image to point of wearing elevated shoes always, ruled through fear and propaganda while country starved. Nicolas Sarkozy, born 1955, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, French president, 2007 to 2012, who famously wore lifts and stood on boxes during photo ops with taller leaders. So sensitive about 5 feet 5 inches height, he banned photos showing him shorter than wife Carla Bruni, 5 feet 9 inches, walked on tiptoes, chose shorter security guards, embodied short man syndrome in politics. Dmitry Medvedev, born 1965, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Russian president, 2008 to 2012, serving between Putin terms, appeared diminutive next to 5 feet 7 inches Putin despite similar heights. At 5 feet 4 inches, his short stature was mocked in Russian media, often photographed looking childlike next to world leaders, proving even in Russia, height matters for perception. Silvio Berlusconi, born 1936, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Italian prime minister known for bunga bunga parties, corruption scandals, and wearing elevated shoes to official events. Listed as 5 feet 5 inches but appeared shorter, wore custom shoes with 2-inch lifts, dyed hair to appear younger, controlled Italian media to control his image including height perception. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, born 1956, 157 centimeters, 5 feet 2 inches, Iranian president, 2005 to 2013, whose Holocaust denial and nuclear ambitions made him controversial despite short stature. At just 5 feet 2 inches, he was one of shortest world leaders in 21st century, yet his fiery rhetoric and defiance of West made him feared, proving aggression compensates for height. Vladimir Lenin, born 1870, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Bolshevik revolutionary who led Russian Revolution despite being notably shorter than average Russian male. At 5 feet 5 inches in era when average was 5 feet 7 inches, he was self-conscious about height, stood on boxes during speeches, yet commanded respect through intellectual brilliance and ruthless determination. Nikita Khrushchev, born 1894, 166 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Soviet premier who pounded shoe on UN desk proving short men can command attention through sheer audacity. At 5 feet 5 inches and stocky build, he appeared even shorter, yet defied expectations by denouncing Stalin, nearly caused Cuban Missile Crisis nuclear war, and proved peasant background no barrier to power. Joseph Stalin, born 1878, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Soviet dictator responsible for millions of deaths who wore platform boots to appear taller in propaganda photos. Listed as 5 feet 5 inches but likely 5 feet 4 inches, extremely insecure about height and withered left arm from childhood accident, propaganda photos retouched to make him taller, ruled through terror and paranoia. Napoleon Bonaparte, born 1769, 168 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, French emperor whose Napoleon complex became term for short man syndrome, though he was average height for era. Actually 5'6" 5'7", not short for his time, average French male 5 feet 5 inches, British propaganda exaggerated shortness, yet myth persists, proving perception matters more than reality in history. Horatio Nelson, born 1758, 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, British naval hero who lost eye and arm in battle but never lost a naval engagement despite small stature. At 5 feet 4 inches and missing right arm and eye, he looked fragile yet was Britain's greatest admiral, died at Trafalgar defeating Napoleon's navy, proving courage has no height requirement. Alexander the Great, born 356 BC, 150 centimeters, 4 feet 11 inches, disputed Macedonian king who conquered known world by age 30, though actual height debated by historians. Ancient sources suggest short of stature but estimates range 5 feet 0 inches to 5 feet 6 inches, conquered Persian Empire stretching from Greece to India, died at 32 possibly from typhoid or poisoning. Hirohito, born 1901, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Japanese emperor during World War II who avoided war crime prosecution despite military's atrocities in his name. At 5 feet 5 inches, typical for Japanese men of his generation, remained silent during Tokyo war crimes trials, transitioned to symbolic figurehead under US occupation, controversial legacy. Muammar Gaddafi, born 1942, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Libyan dictator known for bizarre fashion, female bodyguards, and 42-year brutal rule ending in violent death. At 5 feet 5 inches, compensated with platform shoes, flamboyant military uniforms, and tent-dwelling eccentricity, funded terrorism worldwide, killed by rebels during Arab Spring. Sapamirat Niyazov Turkmenbashi, born 1940, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Turkmenistan dictator who renamed months after himself and built golden statues rotating to face sun. At 5 feet 4 inches, created cult of personality so extreme he banned opera, ballet, and lip-syncing, wrote spiritual book required reading, one of most eccentric dictators ever. Hafez al-Assad, born 1930, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Syrian dictator and Bashar's father who ruled with iron fist for 29 years despite unimposing physical presence. At 5 feet 5 inches, he relied on brutal Mukhabarat, secret police, massacred 40,000 in Hama 1982, created dynasty passing power to son. Ho Chi Minh, born 1890, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Vietnamese revolutionary who defeated French and American superpowers despite frail elderly appearance and small frame. At 5 feet 4 inches and 100 pounds in old age, he looked like gentle grandfather but orchestrated guerrilla warfare strategy defeating world's greatest military powers. Pol Pot, born 1925, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Cambodian dictator responsible for genocide killing 2 million, appearing soft-spoken and unassuming despite monstrous crimes. At 5 feet 5 inches with chubby face and gentle demeanor, he seemed harmless yet orchestrated killing fields exterminating intellectuals, achieving one of history's worst genocides. Francisco Franco, born 1892, 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Spanish dictator who ruled for 36 years after winning civil war, maintaining fascist control until death. At 5 feet 4 inches with high-pitched voice, he seemed unimpressive yet brutally suppressed opposition, executed 50,000 plus after civil war, kept Spain neutral in World War II. Park Chung-hee, born 1917, 164 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, South Korean dictator who industrialized nation through authoritarian rule and human rights abuses before assassination. At 5 feet 5 inches, father of current political figure Park Geun-hye, modernized South Korea's economy while crushing dissent, killed by intelligence chief during dinner. Ngo Dinh Diem, born 1901, 160 centimeters, 5 feet 3 inches, South Vietnamese president whose corruption and Buddhist persecution led to CIA-backed coup and assassination. At 5 feet 3 inches and Catholic in Buddhist nation, he was US-backed puppet whose brutal rule alienated population, overthrown and killed with CIA knowledge. Syngman Rhee, born 1875, 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, first South Korean president who ruled autocratically until popular uprising forced him into exile. At 5 feet 4 inches, he was Princeton-educated but ruthlessly authoritarian, rigged elections, massacred thousands of suspected communists, fled to Hawaii after student revolution. Haile Selassie, born 1892, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Ethiopian emperor worshipped as god by Rastafarians despite tiny stature and eventual overthrow by communists. At 5 feet 4 inches, claimed descent from King Solomon, inspired Jamaican Rastafari movement viewing him as Messiah, overthrown by Derg military junta and possibly murdered. Fulgencio Batista, born 1901, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Cuban dictator overthrown by Castro, known for corruption and ties to American mafia running Havana casinos. At 5 feet 5 inches, mulatto in racist Cuba, he allied with US and mob, allowed Cuba to become playground for American vice, fled with millions when Castro's rebels won. Rafael Trujillo, born 1891, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Dominican dictator who ruled 31 years with extreme vanity, having affair with Miss Universe while committing mass murder. At 5 feet 5 inches, obsessed with appearance, wore lifts and makeup, changed capital city name to Sayud Trujillo, assassinated by military with CIA weapons. Enver Hoxha, born 1908, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Albanian communist dictator who built 750,000 bunkers and isolated Albania completely from outside world. At 5 feet 5 inches, paranoid ruler built concrete bunker for every 4 citizens, banned religion, beards, and rock music, left Albania poorest and most isolated European nation. Todor Zivkov, born 1911, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Bulgarian communist leader who ruled 35 years, longest-serving East Bloc leader until Berlin Wall fell. At 5 feet 4 inches, uncharismatic apparatchik who survived by balancing Soviet loyalty with Bulgarian nationalism, eventually overthrown and tried for embezzlement. János Kádár, born 1912, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Hungarian communist leader who rose after crushing 1956 revolution, ruling until 1988 with goulash communism. At 5 feet 5 inches, he was tortured by own party before becoming leader, introduced consumer goods to placate population, created most liberal communist state. Winston Churchill, born 1874, 168 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, British Prime Minister who saved democracy from Nazism despite being short, overweight, depressed, and alcoholic. At 5 feet 6 inches and 200 plus pounds, suffered black dog depression, drank champagne for breakfast, smoked cigars constantly, yet his oratory inspired Britain's finest hour during World War II. Benjamin Disraeli, born 1804, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, British Prime Minister and first Jewish PM who rose despite antisemitism through wit, novels, and political genius. At 5 feet 5 inches, he was dandy who wore flamboyant clothes, wrote romance novels while governing, expanded British Empire, made Queen Victoria Empress of India. David Ben-Gurion, born 1886, 155 centimeters, 5 feet 1 inch, Israel's founding father and first prime minister who declared independence and won war against 5 Arab nations. At just 5 feet 1 inch with wild white hair, he appeared gnome-like yet possessed iron will, declared statehood hours before British left, led tiny nation to survival. Menachem Begin, born 1913, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Israeli prime minister and former terrorist who made peace with Egypt earning Nobel Prize. At 5 feet 5 inches, former Irgun militant commander who bombed King David Hotel, transformed into statesman, signed Camp David Accords with Sadat, complex legacy of violence and peace. Golda Meir, born 1898, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Israel's Iron Lady prime minister who led during Yom Kippur War despite being elderly grandmother. At 5 feet 5 inches, chain-smoking grandmother became tough war leader, blamed for intelligence failure allowing surprise attack, resigned after controversy, proved women can lead in war. Yasser Arafat, born 1929, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Palestinian leader who founded Fatah and PLO, spending life fighting Israel before mysterious death. At 5 feet 5 inches and never removing keffiyeh headdress, he was both terrorist and peace negotiator, shared Nobel with Rabin, died under suspicious circumstances possibly from polonium poisoning. King Hussein of Jordan, born 1935, 168 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, Jordanian king who survived assassination attempts and wars, ruling 47 years with Western alliance. At 5 feet 6 inches, he survived poison nose drops, piloting own plane through dangers, made peace with Israel, married American Lisa Halaby as Queen Noor. King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia, born 1924, 168 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, Saudi king who modernized kingdom slightly while maintaining absolute monarchy and funding Wahhabism worldwide. At 5 feet 6 inches, became king at 81, most progressive Saudi ruler allowing women in advisory council, yet country remained ultra-conservative theocratic monarchy. Indira Gandhi, born 1917, 162 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, India's first female prime minister who ruled with iron fist, imposed emergency rule, and assassinated by bodyguards. At 5 feet 4 inches, Nehru's daughter who suspended democracy during emergency 1975-77, ordered Golden Temple attack on Sikhs, killed by Sikh bodyguards in revenge. Benazir Bhutto, born 1953, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Pakistan's first female Muslim PM who returned from exile twice, eventually assassinated at campaign rally. At 5 feet 5 inches, Harvard and Oxford educated, daughter of executed PM Zulfikar Bhutto, ruled twice interrupted by corruption allegations, killed by bomb and gunfire. Lee Kuan Yew, born 1923, 169 centimeters, 5 feet 7 inches, Singapore's founding father who transformed fishing village into wealthy city-state through authoritarian capitalism. At 5 feet 7 inches, Cambridge-educated lawyer who ruled with benevolent dictatorship, banned chewing gum and long hair, created prosperity through discipline and harsh laws. Corazon Aquino, born 1933, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Philippine president who led people power revolution overthrowing Marcos dictatorship despite being housewife. At 5 feet 5 inches, widow of assassinated opposition leader, she had no political experience yet survived 7 coup attempts, restored democracy to Philippines. Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, born 1947, 152 centimeters, 5 feet 0 inches, Philippine president who rose to power after EDSA Revolution II but faced corruption allegations. At exactly 5 feet 0 inches, one of shortest national leaders, economist who became president after Estrada ousted, arrested on electoral fraud charges, controversial legacy. Rodrigo Duterte, born 1945, 168 centimeters, 5 feet 6 inches, Philippine president whose drug war killed thousands while maintaining 80% plus approval rating. At 5 feet 6 inches, foul-mouthed populist who admitted personally killing criminals, insulted Obama and Pope, extrajudicial drug war killed 30,000 plus, yet Filipinos loved him. Megawati Sukarnoputri, born 1947, 160 centimeters, 5 feet 3 inches, Indonesian president and daughter of independence leader Sukarno who led after Wahid's impeachment. At 5 feet 3 inches, soft-spoken in contrast to firebrand father, first female Indonesian president, lost re-election to Yudhoyono after unremarkable term. Sheikh Hasina, born 1947, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Bangladesh prime minister who survived assassination attempt that killed 19 party members including family. At 5 feet 5 inches, daughter of assassinated founder Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, rules with iron fist, jails opposition, wins elections accused of rigging. Khaleda Zia, born 1945, 163 centimeters, 5 feet 4 inches, Bangladesh prime minister and rival to Hasina, imprisoned on corruption charges by opponent's government. At 5 feet 4 inches, widow of assassinated President Ziaur Rahman, alternated power with Hasina in bitter rivalry, eventually jailed by Hasina on embezzlement charges. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, born 1938, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, Liberia's first female African president who won Nobel Prize for ending civil war and rebuilding nation. At 5 feet 5 inches, Harvard-educated economist who inherited country destroyed by war, fought Ebola epidemic, lifted sanctions, proved Africa could elect woman leader. Dilma Rousseff, born 1947, 170 centimeters, 5 feet 7 inches, Brazilian president and former guerrilla fighter tortured by dictatorship before becoming nation's leader. At 5 feet 7 inches, Marxist rebel imprisoned and tortured in 1970s, rose to presidency, impeached on controversial charges, career shows Brazil's turbulent political journey. Angela Merkel, born 1954, 165 centimeters, 5 feet 5 inches, German chancellor for 16 years who became Europe's most powerful leader despite quiet demeanor. At 5 feet 5 inches, East German physicist who rose to become leader of free world, welcomed Syrian refugees, handled Eurozone crisis, most powerful woman in world multiple times.